What is up? Nailed it. That's right.
You didn't mess that up a little in the beginning?
He did mess. No, it does that.
I was a scratch.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
it does that when you put the intro, but you forgot the banner at the bottom.
Oh, but no.
Don't worry, I did too. But I went, bam, there you go.
Wow. All right. How's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Medea.
Doing good. What's up, people in the chat?
Doing good.
Medea.
Yeah. So, just okay, man. That's solid. I'm there, and I'm okay. No fire. No. Ooh, after the last show, come on. I'm like actually pumped.
Talking about me. Takes a bit to gas me back up, man. I let loose a lot of rage just then, built up a tension over years.
And just to be sure, I'm pretty sure there will be no fire between me and Roberto this week. I think we're on point this week. So you're muted, Rob.
Oh, so you guys didn't hear me when I said I feel like I got hit by a bus?
No.
No, man, it feels like my sister sat on me, man.
What?
Oh my God.
I don't know that feeling. I only have two brothers, man.
Well, my sister's like 700 pounds, so just imagine what that would feel
okay.
like.
I got you.
So yesterday I'm like, all right, I'm going back to the gym. I took my C4. I started taking C4 again, right? And that shit like pumps you up, right? So I'm at the gym for like 2 hours, and I'm just like lifting everything. I'm like, like squats and everything. Dude, I came walking in like I'm like 80 years old. I'm like, like I'm in so much pain, man.
That means you had a good workout, man.
Oh, I know. I'm gonna be jacked after this shit heals.
That also means when we get into the topic, no poom poom for you.
I mean, I'm literally home. I mean, there's no poom poom. I left poom poom to come do the show.
Okay, your priorities are all wrong.
No, so like I was sitting there. I'm like, man, I'm gonna message Anzo, but I'm gonna cancel, man. And I'm like, man, I just gave Adam shit for the same fucking thing. So I'm like, fuck. And then I'm like, I'll just do it for my phone. And then I'm like, and then my girlfriend's like, you literally just told Adam, you're gonna do that, and you're gonna do it. I'm like, but it's me though, And then she's like, so don't you be laughing, motherfucker. so I'm like, all right. So I literally just got in the house like 5 minutes ago. What the fuck is happening to my light? But yeah, so
all right.
So I'm dedicated to you guys.
Cool. So the topic, if y'all don't know yet,
I got a lot about this topic too.
Should sex ever be a reason to break up?
I mean, I can go for like an hour on this topic.
Who wants to start?
Me.
Go ahead.
All right. So let me tell you a story about a guy named Brady. No. So if you guys don't know, I was married for 15 years. The marriage ended because of that reason, because of the sex. I don't want to get into too many details, but we met each other when we were super young. We met each other around 19, 20. I was extremely overweight, and I didn't date anybody. And I kind of felt like, okay, well, she's into me. I settled for her, And then, I got married around 21 years old with her. And then slowly over time, I just did not want to have sex with her no more, right? Like I wasn't sexually attracted to her. I loved her, but I loved her I didn't love her in a sexual way. Okay. And it grew to where she resented me for it. I'd be like, all right, she want to have sex. I'm like, oh well, babe, I gotta do YouTube tonight. Or she wanted to like do sex. I'm like, I'm not really feeling well tonight, and it broke her heart because it made her feel like she wasn't good enough. But it wasn't really hers. It just I wasn't sexually attracted to her, and that's when she was like, you know what, I'm not romantically involved with you no more. I want to move on, and that's how our marriage kind of split. So marriage, like sex, is very, very important. You gotta want to be able to have sex with your spouse, and it kills me because I made her. I really broke her. It broke her what I did, and. So yes, sex is very, very important in a relationship.
Absolutely, 100%. So the question is should sex be? It shouldn't be the main reason, but I mean, if you're
No.
in a relationship and you're not getting any, like at all, usually it comes down. Especially me, I'm like, okay, so if you ain't giving me, who are you giving it to? Right? Because let's be real, women love sex just as much as men do. In fact, not if not, some of them love it more. You know what I mean? They just don't show it like we do as men do, right? So I'm always like, okay, so if you ain't giving it to me, then who are you giving it to? Now, it depends on how long. If you can't discuss it, if you can't talk
Almost a
it out
year.
with
We went almost a year without any kind of sexual anything.
So you're
Yeah, but that was
practice
you,
to be a
though.
monk.
But that was you though, right? So you didn't want to have it. So it's kind of, what I mean? I'm talking about like if I'm with a woman and she doesn't want to have it and she doesn't want to give it to me, you know what I mean? Like for years, then yeah, I'm either we're gonna discuss it, we're gonna see what's going on because it's either that or I'm gonna dip out. You know what I mean? If you're not giving it to me, then I'm gonna dip out. I have needs too. You know what I mean? And when you're living with a woman, sometimes she walking around in her thongs and her bra, and she looking fine as fuck, and you want to touch her, and she don't want to give it up to you. Like that's torture.
Right.
I'm sorry, for me, that's torture. So what I would do is like we'd have that conversation. If we can't work it out, then we would either have to go our separate ways, or you're just gonna have to accept the fact that I'm gonna go and do other things.
But you see, that's cool because you're willing to have the conversation where there's a lot of people that don't even bother that part, right? They just go, fuck that, I'm out, right? And they don't even get, especially now, they don't give the time of day. They just, people break up from leaving the seat up of the toilet, right? It's true. You laugh, but it's true. People now they don't invest the time. It's like it's become so like cut off, like, oh, you're not giving me the attention I want, you're not giving me this, that's it, I can find it.
I think that also depends on the age of the person or the
that's
couple.
true. 100%.
Like if you're in your 20s, you're like, man, fuck, if she ain't giving it to me, I'm gonna go give it to someone else.
Yeah.
But if you're in your mid 30s, early 30s, going into your 40s or whatnot, and you find someone that you can connect with on every level, and you like this person treats you good, you guys are good together, and maybe like that person's sexually active and another person not so sexually active, and communication's key in any relationship.
100%.
If like someone's not feeling something, you're like, hey, like what's the deal with this? Work it out. But I definitely think it's the age thing
that comes to play.
You know who it is? It's the fucking best friends they're hanging around with.
Wow, that's a whole other issue.
Roberto, Paul, you guys been quiet, yeah, man.
I'm just listening, and again, like Rob said, age does matter because when you're young, you're just young and full of, as the sentence says, so you just want to share it with everybody. But when you're older, sometimes it's not necessarily a want; it's just life slowing you down. The machine doesn't run like it used to. So it's not even necessarily that you fall out of love, because it happens mostly with men when they hit their 40s, mid 40s, early 50s. Some of these guys need pills to get up. Some of these people don't have.
Myself.
Well, you know what? You're gonna, because it's gonna happen eventually. Dude, I don't know when.
I can just think of my girl and I get a fucking.
Yeah, but how old are you, Rob? How old are you, Rob?
36.
There you go. You answered the question right there. I hope your shit rises every time the sun does. I pray for you, brother. But there might be a time.
I wake up and I don't have a boner, and the day I just fucking hang myself.
Wow. Well, you're gonna hang yourself in your 50s.
Yeah, for real.
It's not guaranteed though, because there's some soldiers still keeping it straight. Don't need no social assistance. But what I'm trying to say is, when that happens in a later stage of life, it's not necessarily you're not attracted no more. It's just that the candle ain't lit no more. So you have to go out there, and if you have to go and play with toys or games or something to spark it. I mean, if the relationship is worth the investment, you have to make the investment. Facts. If it's you lose the attraction to her, that's a whole different ballgame. The toys and everything ain't gonna work.
Facts, 100%. And you're absolutely right. It does come down to how old you are. You know what I mean? And when you get older, yes, your sex drive does go down, especially for men. Like right. Women get their peak in like their 40s and stuff like that. Men
Till
start
they
to
hit
lose.
that magic
Men
M word.
Yeah, right.
It's hot. It's cold. Get away from me. Come here.
Did you put up the AC? Did you put on the heater?
You ain't there yet, Rob. You ain't there yet. You don't know what we're talking about, eh? You'll see. You'll want to hang yourself. Close the window. Open the window. That's all you're gonna be saying. Like it's a fucked up world, bruh.
Like,
Yeah,
babe, it's 100 degrees in here. What the fuck do you mean?
Yeah,
It's cold?
exactly.
I've been through
Yeah.
it twice. Been through it twice. So yeah, I know what it's like, bro. Oh
Paul, what
man.
you got?
No, I generally agree with Roberto. I think that sex is important, but communication is like just as important. I think like they're two forms of intimacy, and so when you're missing one of those, the relationship just breaks down. Especially because if one of them stops and the other one keeps going, I think even if like communication stops and sex keeps going, it's still an issue because you're not actually talking out your issues that you may have. Right. And it's like there's that old adage, like if you don't have a fight in a relationship, you're not really you're not communicating because you're just burying whatever the person's done and offended you, and you're not really letting it out. And so I feel like once you let out those things, then you basically can decide, like if you are holding on to them for a long time. I think that's where if sex is broken down, that means your intimacy is dead. And so like for me, it's like, well, then when you get to that point, you're like, I feel like that's when anyway, both of you know it's sort of over at that point. I think there's like much of a struggle or like a conversation to be had, because like I kind of agree a little bit with you, Enzo, where it's like if you're not getting it, then where are you giving it? But then there can be like times when it's just like both of you just like committed to the relationship mentally, but you have no intimacy outside of that mental like a thing. And I'm talking about mainly people within a marriage. Like some people can be like married to each other, but they're just married to each other because of obligation.
They got kids or some shit.
Yeah, and they don't really have any intimacy whatsoever. And so you got to get to that point where it's like, is it doing you harm? Is it doing the other person harm to stay in this relationship? If it is, then you gotta do what's good for you. And I feel like answering the question, it's like, should sex be a reason to break up? I think it's like, if you're not getting it on the regular, that it already shows that you are not in a good place in your relationship already. And so it can be the final like
straw
in the head, basically, to go, yeah, this relationship is dead. Like, and it could also be like, that can be a lot for men, I think, more so than women, because we have, like, as we already previously mentioned, in our younger years, we have like a stronger sex drive. So it's like I mean, generally, not every woman and man are the same, but generally men have a stronger sex drive. So we want sex more often. And so once that sort of starts dying, I feel like that's when it's like, when you're not getting that, I mean, I read a survey, I don't know how accurate it is now, but I read a survey once that like why men cheat, why women cheat. And generally men cheat because they're not getting sex, and women generally cheat and they do sex as a byproduct of intimacy because they want relationship. And so when you're not meeting that relationship need, they will walk outside of the relationship or marriage, and they will give sex to a man in exchange for that intimacy. And the vice versa for men, they will crave sex, and then they will give the intimacy to that person they're having an affair with, to get the sex from that person they're having the affair with. So I feel like that if I strangle it down into those like main like areas, so yeah, I think it's definitely one of the death knells of a relationship.
Imperial just makes a very good mention there.
Think men to need physical love, whereas a woman needs that is
very well said.
Yeah, just what I just said. So like women will give up their physical love to get that emotional connection with the person they're having an affair with, and vice versa. Men will give that emotional connection to their mistress in order to get that sexual need met. And so that's generally why men and women step outside of marriage or outside of relationships. And I think if you're even considering that, it's time to just end your marriage or relationship, like before you even go down those pathways. Like, just do it, like, because it never ends well. Like, you see all the stories of it, you can hear from your friends if they've done it, like, or like colleagues or whatever. It never ends well. So it's like the symbol that you are done with that other person. So you need to just move on and be honest with yourself and with them, and be like, yeah, we're good. Because if you're thinking about that stuff, it's like, yeah, it's time to just move along.
Facts. And I'll say this too. Sometimes there's also situations too, right? Because women can have babies and then not feel the need to have sex after they've had babies. That's how my son's mother was at one point, just for a long time. She just wasn't in the mood. Had nothing to do with me, but it was just the fact that she just didn't want to do it. So there are certain situations where that can be, an exception to the rule. Now, if it's lasting for more than 5 years or whatever, like it's just going on and on, then that's an issue. You know what I mean?
But does she love you enough to understand that you have your needs, and since she can't give it to you, she'll give you the green card or green light or whatever terminology you want to use to go and get your fix elsewhere?
You're talking about marriage there or something, right?
Different story where you're going.
I thought you were going to a different place there. I thought
that's the one thing.
For me, it's like relationship is about self-sacrifice. So, like, for me, it's like, okay, you may not want to, but I don't want to necessarily, like, say she has a baby, right, and you're then the main breadwinner. You may not want to go to work every day, but you do, and it's to provide for your family. You may not want to, but then on the flip side, she may be tired after dealing with the baby all day, but then and may not want to have sex, but it might be something that you desire. And I'm not saying that you force yourself on her. That's not what I'm saying at all. Don't get me wrong. If she says no, that's no, right? That's it. But what I'm saying is that in a relationship, there's a certain amount of self-sacrifice that's required in order for that relationship to exist.
I agree.
And you need to be, and both people need to be giving into that relationship for it to maintain. And part of that is sexual contact and like whatever it might be. It might be a handy in the shower, like if she doesn't want to, like at least she's like, it has to be, it can't be just a no. Like as in, because if you keep getting rejected, that's where I agree with Roberta. What you're going to have is then you're going to be like, okay, well, then what do I do with this? I
didn't marry my hands.
Yeah, exactly.
But the one thing that I do not, because I follow Fresh and Fit, right? The one thing I do not agree with
best examples
is that they're like, oh yeah, if a guy goes and fucks another girl, it's not cheating. No, it's 100% cheating, right?
Of course,
it's 100%.
What? Who says it isn't?
The guys from Fresh and Fit, man. They're like, if a girl does it, it's cheating. If a guy does it, it's not cheating, right?
He's an idiot.
If you are in a relationship,
not the best example.
I strongly believe you should not be cheating, right? When my marriage fell apart and whatnot, never once did I ever go and cheat on her. Never. There was opportunities, I never once did, right? I do not. When you give yourself to someone in a relationship, then that is your person. And I believe communication and conversation is more important than anything, right? If you feel like, you know what, man, I haven't had a lot of sex lately, talk to that person. Like, babe, what's going on? Like we used to do this, and this. Like, what's going on? Is it something that I did? Do I need to work out more? Do I need to do something? Do we need to spice it up? Maybe they're going through something emotionally or mentally or something. Sometimes a conversation will go a long freaking way, man.
As long as the conversation is always honest, right? Because
you have to be honest.
Sometimes people hold back, right? Because they might think the way they feel might not be right. But the fact that if the person you're with feels comfortable and really talking about how they feel, right? Like I see in the chat, it could be very, very true. It could be hormonal. It could be mental illness. Some people that have depression have to do with they have to take certain medications, which affects that as well.
Absolutely.
So that is all a playing factor. And we all 5 of us have said it, right? It's all about communication, honesty, and the major thing after that is compromise, right?
Yes.
Where like you were saying, Robert, right? We were doing all this before, and now we're here at this, you know, and it comes down to the point where women, when they get to a certain, I in my opinion, from people that I spoke to, when they get to a certain age, it's no longer really about the quality, the quantity. It's about the quality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have so many things that come up in life. You have kids, right? And women, after they have kids, their bodies change hormonally and everything, and psychological as well. So
Brain cells.
Yeah, and then you have.
Do you know how many millions of brain cells women lose during childbirth?
Yeah.
Do you realize that the male? Hang on. I want to say something to counter that. Do you realize that the male what the male IQ drops to when you get a hard on?
That's why we don't think about anything other than coming.
Go look it up. Go look it up.
In the first place.
I don't deny you, Paul.
Facts. The blood goes from the brain and it goes somewhere else.
100%. The bigger it is, the less you're aware of.
I'm just saying. We can't have shots at women without having shots at ourselves.
No, 100%. 100%. I'm not saying we're any better. I'm just sharing in differences. You know, I'm sure when they get together, they talk about us. Oh, he got a heart on. He didn't remember his name.
But you also gotta realize that
100%. You're right.
100%.
Sometimes, but I agree with you, guys, that like you have to be honest in the conversation, because I want to know, right? Like when I was married, I was extremely overweight, right? You all seen the pictures, right? Like I didn't want to have sex, man. I could barely fucking get out of bed without being out of breath. You know, it's like if we're having sex a lot and we stop, or it's really like we were having sex like almost every day, right? And then that stopped, and then it's like once a week or once every 2 weeks, and we have the conversation. If it's something that I did, I need to be 100% honest with me so I can change whatever it is. Do I need to get my fat ass back on the treadmill more often? Do we need to do this? Is this something that's going on with you? Communication is very important, and you got to be honest with it. You know, and that's something I didn't do in my marriage. You know, like I didn't want to tell her because I didn't want to hurt her feelings. Like, how do you tell somebody? Well, I don't really find you that way anymore. How do you tell the person you're married to that? You know, like luckily for me, right. And I say luckily but you know, she came to me and was like, hey, look, you know, this ain't working out, you know, and blah 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 blah. I didn't want to. That's sort of the way I felt, and I feel bad because it broke her in the process, though, because it made her feel like she wasn't good enough when she is, but for someone else. Right, like her boyfriend loves her, right? Like they're a cute couple. I'm happy that they're happy, you know. But you know, I broke her, but at the whole time her person was out there, you know. So
what do you mean?
You had to have that.
What do you mean when you say you broke her?
I broke her because by not having sex with her and making excuses why I couldn't have sex with her, it made her feel like she was less of a woman, that she wasn't attractive, that she was ugly, you know? And it wasn't that. She was a beautiful girl, right? She was a pretty girl. She was sweet. She was kind. I just wasn't attracted to her sexually anymore. You know, it's like I wanted to do things to spice it up, the sex and stuff like that. She was very like old school, not really wanting to do too many different things, and it happens. And by me doing that and not communicating with her and being honest with her and prolonging the marriage as long as it did, it broke her. She has to go to therapy, right? Like she tells me like you know, she's like, you know, you made me feel like I was less of a woman and stuff. And that's something because I wasn't man enough to have that conversation with her. So we as men and women too, if we're having a relationship and things are going good, you have to have that intimacy. And to me, intimacy is just as important as sex, because when I'm with my girl, like we're cuddling and stuff like that, I didn't even do that in my marriage. Like the last few years of my marriage, we didn't cuddle on the couch watching movies. We didn't kiss. We didn't do anything. It was
called almost quality time. You're talking about quality time.
Yeah, it was almost like we were brothers and sisters rather than husband and wife.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't have that communication. We would talk about comic books, but not our relationship.
Right.
Well, you're lucky that you ended up like that, because there's a lot of people who don't end up like that. They just end up as enemies.
Dude, when we first broke up, she went almost 9-10 months without talking to me. Like she's like, I don't want you in my life, blah 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 blah. And then after therapy sessions, you know, she kind of came around as like, you know, we have this history. It wasn't all bad, you know, but you know, you did do this to me.
I'd say everything is connected to an emotion. That's what I would caveat that statement with, like that there's always a memory, and that's always connected to an emotion with women, like in general, whereas men can just go, oh yeah, that emotion, and then memory just goes into a filing cabinet somewhere. Like we just do that generally easily. But no, I do agree with you, Robert. Like I feel like it's important to be and I speak from experience now, going through this currently. I've been honest for the first time ever, and it's caused what is now going to be a disillusionment of my relationship. Mm-hmm. But it's because I'm being honest for the first time in a long time, in years, that I'm just not happy where I'm at. And like, yeah, there's a lot of anger and other things happening, but the flip side of that is that she also knows that what I'm saying is true, and she agrees with me. So it's like there's anger, right? And there's distrust and all that sort of stuff happening. But on the flip side, there is an agreement that, yeah, we haven't been together for a long time. And what you're talking about earlier with the cuddles on the couch, all that sort of stuff, hasn't happened in my relationship for years, right? There's no intimacy there. So it's easy for me as a dude to be like, it's done. Like I can go because I emotionally disconnected a long time ago, but for her it's a longer period, right?
Yes.
And so there's that flip side of it that needs to be understanding, in that it takes time, especially if there's like children involved and other things. So yeah, there's all that stuff to consider. But I feel like the honesty thing is so like something I've learned, and I wish I knew 15 years before I got married, before any of this stuff happened, right? Something I wish I'd known from the start is to be honest with myself first.
Facts.
Am I happy?
Mm-hmm.
Am I happy?
100%.
No. Why am I not happy? Oh, because of these reasons. Should I be in this relationship or friendship or whatever it is? No, because I'm not happy in it. Can this person change? If I talk to them, consider these things. If I talk to them and then they don't see my point of view, then should I drop these people out of my life because I'm not happy about the situation?
Yeah.
Yes. This is truth. Like, and I wish I had that logical faculty. I think it comes down to everyone will say this in their older years. I wish I had the wisdom from my youth back in my youth. But the flip side of that is I wouldn't know all this stuff if I hadn't experienced it. So I'm a better person for experiencing the relationship and all these things, because now I know what I really want, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I know who I want and like who I want to pursue and all these things, because I know what I truly actually desire from somebody inside of myself, because I've gone through this, half a terrible ideal basically of 10 years. So it's like now I've got like a fixed point of what happiness means to me. So getting back to that point again, that going too far down the rabbit hole is like, if there's no sex, there's no intimacy, and you'll see that in other parts of your life. You won't be doing like what you said, hanging out on the couch, just having fun, laughing with each other, like being able to joke, like being able to sort of get each other, like get what the other person's saying, actually listening to that person and being able to articulate their feelings back to them, and vice versa. These things, if they're not happening, the sex is like the physical sign that these actual emotion things aren't happening. Because when those emotion things are happening, you want to be physically intimate with that person. You want to show those emotions you're having to them in a physical manner. That's what sex is. That's why they call it making love, because you are showing that person and vice versa how much you care about them in the most intimate act you can do with that person. That's, I think, a problem in general society today is that people have made sex a thing that you just do.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
But actually,
They took
what
away
it is. Yeah, they're
they took
talking
away the
about the value of it.
the value
of it. It's been like, it's just a one night stand. Oh, I just, fuck this person, and it's like, it's all good, right? They don't realize that there's a connection, like that you're making on a personal level with that person. You're being intimate with that person, and it's about showing love to that person and those feelings that you have while giggling on the couch. If you do those sorts of things, right? Or having a laugh with them, whatever you want to call it. Giggles a girly word. Having a laugh is what I say. Like, you're having a laugh with them, you're able to joke and poke fun at each other. The whole lovey-dovey thing, that all that is that emotional connection for her, right? And for you, it actually is for dudes as well, right? It's okay that dudes can get emotional and all the rest of it,
100%.
right?
Just don't be too emotional, gentlemen.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, and it's like, but you can have those two, that you have that combination there, and then you both want to outwork those emotions together in the sack, right? And it's
in
like, and that's where you connect. That's my slang. That's Australian slang.
For in bed.
That Australian slang.
I know.
I got the Aussie on that one.
Yeah. So, but that's where you have that physical connection, that emotional connection happens first. It's like, you don't go up to, this is the thing with clubs and stuff, like, you don't just go up to a woman and you're like, I'm gonna fuck you tonight. Like you're up to a woman and you want to know about her. You want to like invest in her because as a dude, that's what she values. Nice. Like, and like wants to hear what you think about her, right? And so then you can get the reciprocation possibly, but it's like, then you build on that, like, and it grows out.
And to go off of your point too, not only when you build, and this is a thing that we men do, right? We get comfortable in our relationships. So we stop doing the things that we used to do to get them. You know what I mean? Make them giddy, make them laugh, want to spend time with us. No, after like 5 years, we're just sitting on the couch talking with our boys, playing our game, and just leaving it out alone. You know what I mean? And we have to remember that we got to do the same things we were doing that bring them there. We got to keep them.
So when I was married, I didn't do anything for like I didn't even start off doing anything, right? So like when the marriage ended, a lot of things that Paul said really hits me home a lot, because I went through that, because I didn't have any self-worth. Like you guys see me, like I didn't care, man. It was like I didn't care. Like my titties were bigger than my fucking wife's titties, And it wasn't until after that I started working on myself, and I was like, okay, now I know I like me now. So now, since I love myself, I can love another person, right? So when I meet another person, I can be everything I want to be to that person. It's like when I was married, like I didn't care, man. Like I was playing Halo while she was doing whatever, doing this, right? It's like she's cleaning the house, doing this. I'm just fucking playing Halo, right? It took me finding myself to know what I want in life. And like, so yeah, I'm gonna do the dishes for my girl. I'm gonna clean. I'm gonna help hang pictures. I'm gonna show her like how I love her in different ways by helping her out, both physically, around the house, whatever. And the communication part, is really key, because me and my ex, we never had the communication part, And I remember, I'm gonna say something. This is gonna sound awful. I remember 5 years into our marriage, we were married for 15. 5 years into our marriage, I'm sitting with my buddy Chris at work, and we were talking, and I'm like, out of nowhere, I'm like, yeah, dude, I just don't want to have sex with her. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, I just don't want to have sex with her. He's like, dude, I think you need to end the marriage. I'm like, nah, man, I can't, dude. I'm like, that would hurt her too bad. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. And I just stuck around, and it was awful. Thank God we didn't have
the
any
wrong reasons.
Yeah, because I didn't want to be the person to hurt her, So
And I just want to say to Jess, I know women do it too. I was just speaking from my, like, as a man perspective, but absolutely, when they're in a relationship, it goes both ways. It's a 50-50 street. Women have to do the things that they did when, because women, you sexy, women are sexy. So after 5 years in a relation, if your woman is just always wearing granny panties when in the beginning she was wearing thongs and G-strings and shit,
So it's funny you say that, right?
Yeah,
Because
no, I say that. I
there's-
say that like the whole work, that whole putting
Yeah.
in the work. Like
Yeah.
we have to put in like the emotional work, but like it's not like I'm saying you need to go to gym and work out every day for me. Otherwise, you're not going to find you attractive.
Right.
But like when you put on like if I came home and my woman was wearing like lingerie. I'm like, yes, let's put the work in right now. Like, you know what I'm saying, Enzio? Like you're saying, like she's putting the work in. She's going, I know you got the hots for me. I'm gonna put myself in something good.
Paul will be cleaning the house.
I'm going in, vacuum cleaning. I'm vacuum cleaning the house right now. I'm going to do the dishes right now. You just wait for me, baby. Like I'm coming. Like
facts.
That's how it is. But you know what? It's funny because I usually, use the analogies like, okay, you like eating salad? All right. Would you eat salad dressed the same way all the time? No, exactly. We got to mix up that salad, right? But that's how it goes, right? It's exactly that. We have to go back to the moment because we get comfortable with life. We get caught up in that routine. And especially when you have kids, it's an additional thing. I must say in the way, they didn't ask to be in this world. We brought them into this world, but it's all routine. We fall in that routine. And then sometimes that happens is you drift apart because you forget to go and make time for yourselves again.
Yeah.
And that's the joys of what you see when your kids are growing older and they're more independent, and then you're home alone, and then you look at each other. It's like, shit, what do we do now? Exactly, right?
You're like, so, hey, is that a bed? Do I see a bed over there?
And there's no laundry on it. Yes, type thing. So it's true,
man.
right? That's what it is.
Fucking laundry comment. I am dead with that laundry comment, bro. Like, so, you just killed me with that.
But it's.
Hey, dude, I'm gonna say, if my missus is like dressed like that, I don't care what's on the bed. It's happening. Like I'll go wash the laundry afterwards for her. I don't care. Like. I'm telling you the truth.
Dude, like
you don't get everyone that knows what I'm saying. Anybody that's been in a long-term relationship knows exactly what I'm saying. If she's in that gear, there is nothing in the world. You're not going to give that up for the world.
Yeah, for real.
Nothing. People call you, fuck off. I'm being with my missus. It's like she's on the heat. She's on the view. She wants you. It is nothing else. That's it.
The blinders are on.
And the
doors are locked.
Good too. You know what I mean? It makes you feel good. You come home and she's like, "Yeah, baby." You know what I mean? And like, oh shit.
Yeah, man, it does. You're like, especially if if you, I don't know how it sort of works in everyone's, but if you're the main like breadwinner, right? She's like the homemaker or whatever. If you come home, right, and you had a long day, and like she's had a long day too, obviously, because she got the kids and stuff. Yeah. But you see that she's made the effort and going like, "Hey, baby, like I'm ready. Let's go." Basically, like the kids are in bed. Let's get this thing on. Like, but you're buying dinner. Everyone here is just going to be like, "Yep."
I'm telling you though, it's not even about the breadwinner or not, right? It's making them feel that they're worth.
Yeah, valued. Valued. Right? Yeah.
Valued and worth, because sometimes like you said, right? It's going back to the beginning, right? We forget, but when we remember what it was, it didn't start with the sex.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Because when you start, you look at her, it's the jokes, it's the way you feel around her, the way she makes
it's all those things. You want to do anything for her at the beginning. You're like, she's like, I need you to come and do it. You're like, I'm there, like I'm doing it. Like, and then, it's that whole you want to do everything to sacrifice for her because you're like, this chick is gonna have sex with me. Like that's like, and I'm going down to the brass tacks of it, but that's literally what it is at the start. It's like you're like, I want to hang around with this chick.
Just fuck me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to take the trash out for you, though. I'm going to do anything you want, because at the end of the day, this chick is going to have sex with me.
Would you paint her toenails?
That's what I'm saying, man. If she asks me, yeah, man, for real.
I've done it.
My man.
I've done it. I've painted my girl's
toenails. I'm guessing I'm like going back down. It's like the lizard brain or whatever you want to call it, but that's literally what it is. I mean, I'm not saying that we don't care for them or love them, whatever. But when we get down to brass tacks, we're doing all these dumpster fire jobs, all these terrible things, right? All these painting her nails, things that we find monotonous and boring, right? We're doing it because we're like, we are disgusting slobs, and this person is going to have sex with me. Like when I do this, like that's literally why we're doing it. Like anybody that says otherwise is lying to themselves. Like
I agree.
because we can say we love them and want to, we want to show our love to them, and all the things I said earlier. But in those first, what you're saying, those lovey-dovey moments at the start, we're like, they're all emotionally invested, and we're like getting sort of our emotions out of the boxes that we put them in as like boys, and we start doing those things. In the end, we're just like, we are like horrible, disgusting slob men and boys, and we're like about women, like as boys, right?
Like, we'll do that again. Like what?
No, like we're like that, and then we're like this divine goddess is going to sleep with me if I take the trash out for it. Like that's what it is, and we get, and I agree with you. Like it's like that whole, we forget that original like first love, or what do you want to call it? That first like feeling as dudes, like Enzio, right? We just sit there and we're like, oh, like I so relate to Robert, man. Like that was the way I was at the start of my marriage. Like I didn't know how to be married. I shouldn't have got married. Like I can admit that to myself now. I shouldn't have got married. I was too young. I didn't know what it was about. And so I just sat there and I would play games on my computer all night and forget about her.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'd forget about any.
No, I didn't play games. I play games to forget about her.
Yeah, to annoy, to avoid, or whatever it was, like whatever the issues are.
Dude, I was like
forget, like what
Cheers.
That investment. You forget to actually invest in, and when you stop, it's like when you stop watering a garden, it dies. It's the same deal. Like you stop investing in a relationship, and it dies. Like it takes two people for it to work. And if one person's working it, like later in my marriage, I started working at it, but it was way too late. The damage had been done, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like the damage is done. And then I did what you did, Robert. I hung around for a long period of time now, trying to fix the issues, feeling the guilt of it, and without really realizing that I was actually harming myself and her at the same time, like keeping us in this like poison chalice instead of that we drunk out of each day, toxifying each other, instead of realizing we're both not happy. We just need to sort of
can I ask you a personal question then?
Yeah.
Are you divorced? Are you separated, or did you guys fix it?
As of today, we are separated.
All right, so I'm sorry. I've been there. I've been.
No. I can say that. You see, I can say that like without emotion, because, like I said earlier, the emotion was disconnected a long time ago for me, and I was just like life supporting this man, like keep it alive, resource for like 5 years, and it's like
but the best thing about it is, right? The best thing about it is, I can only speak for myself though. I took everything that I learned from that relationship, and I went. So the person I met in the future, I am able to be what I should have been in my marriage.
Yes. Yeah.
To my new relationship, because this time I get to choose. It wasn't like I was 20 and I settled because I didn't think I could be. Like this time I get to choose. I'm like, that's the person I want to be with. Like I feel the spark, and then everything that I project to my new relationship is everything I learned over the course of 15 years of the failed relationship. So I am officially the man that I wanted to be for this person. Right? They're getting the best version of me, and the same thing's going to happen.
That's
to
what
you.
I said. Like that earlier thing. Like I wish it was 10 years earlier, but I had the same brain right now. But you wouldn't. The flip side of that is what I said. You wouldn't know that now. See, I know now what I want in a person. I know who I want to pursue. I know what makes me happy. I know what makes me happy as a person. I'm happy in myself currently right now with the decisions that I have made, right? And so now it's like I know who and what I want in somebody, right? And it's like, I don't know, it's not a list or something, but it's like you know it when you feel it. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I'm sure you understand, Robert. Like, you when that person, it's like that. It's that instant thing you just get, you connect, and it's like boom, connection, right? And and it's like on a mental, on an emotional level, on like a friendship level, everything just ticks. It's just like and clicks like a puzzle piece. clicks together.
It's like a puzzle comes together, everything fits, and everything is firing on all cylinders. Communication, sex, cuddle time, whatever, you know, like everything just clicks, man, and it's effortless,
including music.
There's a give or take, man. There's a give or take there, buddy.
Roberto, talk up, bro. You've been quiet, man.
I'm listening, man. I'm listening. I know we're supposed to talk on the show, but these guys have a thing going like we had last week. So they listened. I'm listening.
Good point.
This was a very touch home subject. So, you know, this was something.
Well, you know what? Here's my take. We've all been there. When you get married for the first time, we didn't get no manual on how to get married. I got married with a kid on the way. I had to get a job. So much shit changed for me that maybe I didn't want all of that. I never asked myself if I wanted that. It just happened, right? Mm-hmm. So then, like you, Robert, and like you, Paul, I got comfortable. You want to dance? No. You want to go a walk? No. You want to see a movie? Maybe, yeah. You want to go and eat? Yeah. Okay. You want to see our friends? No. Mm-hmm. So I became the no man. And eventually we separated.
I kind of relate to
and
that.
It took that separation for me to realize I didn't like myself. Mm-hmm. Who am I? I saw some pictures. I couldn't believe you said you had titties. I had a second neck. I looked at a picture and I didn't realize that was me. And I said, babe, I was that bad? She goes, yeah. Why didn't you fucking tell me? Nobody could tell me anything. I reached a point where I was just like, bah, humbug, every fucking thing, right? You don't know, I know. Then I was alone and I said, fuck, I don't like this guy. And I made changes. And I went to the gym and I made myself better. And sure enough, the woman who I said I would never get back with, we're back together. We're two different people. And when we got back together, we were separated for 2.5 years. And we both looked at each other and said, listen, we'll give it a try. If it doesn't work, we'll divorce. Because separated is like you wearing a clothing and you don't take the tag off. Because every woman I dated said, you're separated. You're going to go back. As much as I said I wasn't, they said you're going to go back. So I told my wife, we're going to try. And if we can't put those people aside that we were before that we realized we didn't like and make this work, then we divorce. And in all honesty, guys, make this story short, we are 10 times better than we were before.
Well, see, me and my ex-wife, we've been separated for 3 years. It's going on 3 years now. We're not officially divorced, but I filed for divorce. The paperwork's already coming in. Because I'm glad that it worked out between you and your separation. I had no interest of ever getting back with her.
I hear you. It's a rare case scenario.
Yeah. It was like I already told you, like there was no traction there. There was no nothing. I still consider her family because of everything we've been through. I still consider her family. But I have no interest. And when I tried to date, it was hard finding people to date because you don't want to lie to them. And they're like, well, are you divorced? I'm like, no, we're not divorced, but we're not together. She lives in Kissimmee with her boyfriend. They're like, I'm not interested.
Exactly.
Like, she's got a boyfriend. I can show you a picture.
Doesn't matter.
But it wasn't until, to be honest with you, I never thought about filing for divorce because it's a real hassle when you think about it. Like going through the whole fucking process. Like, dude, like why the fuck do they care how much money I make a year? It's a pain in the ass. But I was like, you know what? I want to be all I can be for my person I want to be with. And if I have to get divorced and do that, because I do want to get married. I want to do it right this fucking time. I want to propose right. I want to have a big wedding. I want all of our family to be there. I want Anzo to come down from Canada to be my best man. I want to do everything right this time. Because in my first marriage, I did everything half-assed. I proposed in a bullshit way. We went to the courthouse to get married. We went to McDonald's for our fucking dinner that night. And then we went to work for our honeymoon. Right? I did everything half-assed. So I was like, no. I reached out to her. I'm like, let's go for a divorce. and she agreed. I filed the next day. It was done because I knew I didn't want to get back with her. So 2, 3, 4 years from now, you're always going to be my friend. We're going to be family, but I don't want to get back with you in a relationship. I want to focus on the present, and I want to do everything right this time. Everything right this time.
And you see, for me, my situation is a lot different. I spoke about on the OOC many times. I was the one that fucked up to my relationship, right? And we were having issues. There were moments where she wasn't having sex with me, stuff like that. But it was like women were coming out of the woodwork at the time. And to be honest with you, I couldn't control myself at certain points. I just really couldn't control myself, man. You know what I mean? Because I went from not having, like, I didn't have, man. High school, all that shit. The women just didn't want me. But when they did, I was like a kid in the candy store, man. I was like, oh shit.
Oh, not the candy store reference, please.
No, I'm not gonna use the candy store reference, but I was like a kid in the candy store, I got caught. And then she left me. She never came back. Like she never came back. She never came back.
Yeah, so it was the opposite for me. So that like 5 years in, things happened, and so I didn't do any extra marital activities, but that's where I tried the life support. Like it sort of woke me up, and I was like, oh, I've failed at this, right? And so like my personality was like, oh, I've got to fix this, but really it was broken, and so I hung around. I had 2 kids.
Yep.
And now they're in the
cheat on
Smiths.
you?
Like,
did your spouse cheat on you, Paul?
Yeah.
My ex-girlfriend did that to me, man. It's the worst.
So yeah, so it's like it is, so I'm there like, oh, I've got to bring it back to life again, when I should have just at that moment gone. And a lot of people guilted. This is the other thing I'll give anybody that's listening to this who hasn't got married or is in a marriage or this has happened to them. Do not let other people guilt you into sticking around. You need to make the right decision for yourself. You need to do what makes you happy. And if you are upset with what's happened, which is obviously you would be, right? Do not let other people counsel you into like
working it out.
Yeah, working out all these things, right? Because I can tell you right now, this is one of the things that you can't work out. It stays, especially look, as a dude, it stays with you, and it stays with you worse when other things other things get confessed to you over the time. Like it stays with you. It is not a place that you want to be.
Yeah,
all right. That's my only advice in this.
No, I haven't been with my son's mother for over 10 years, right? For like 5 years, she just cut me off, never spoke to me ever again. She didn't want nothing to do with me. We ended up becoming civil, right? We ended up being civil, talking and being able to do stuff, whatever. But it was always there. Like even now, it just doesn't go away. You know what I mean? She's moved on with her life. I moved on with my life, but I hurt her in such a way that even now, like she'll be always like, "Oh yeah, you were a cheater. You did this, you did that." Like it'll always come up.
Cheating. We actually need a topic for someone. Whoever's hosting the show next week, we should do it on cheating.
Who's the host? Is it Onzo?
I think it goes like Lonzo. No, we did it on my show last week.
Oh, okay. So then it is me. Okay.
But yeah, because cheating is the worst thing. Look, if you're gonna go fucking cheat, then just fucking break up the relationship. Because you are gonna hurt the other person so badly. If it's a female, right, and she cheated, right? If it was a female, right, then she's gonna be thinking like, dude, why wasn't I good enough? Am I not sexy enough? Right? And if you're the dude and she cheats on you, you're gonna be thinking like, what the fuck did I do? Right? Like, do I need to go to the gym or like what? It fucks with the person's head so bad. If you're gonna cheat and you feel like if you feel like your spouse or your lover or whoever, just end it. Just end it. Be honest with yourself and with your spouse. Just come up to me. I don't like you, or I'm not in love with you. I don't want to be with you. If it hurts them, it hurts them. But at least you're just saving the lie, that goes back years or like 6 months, 8, whatever it might be. You, the person you're cheating on, or if you are the cheater or you're being cheated on, it is literally.
I'm sorry, guys. That's something that's never ever gonna stop.
The cheating.
Oh no, yeah,
cheating.
Sure.
It'll
Yeah,
never
it's gonna
ever stop.
because
If you
people
ever- if
exactly
you ever
because
been
people
cheated
don't communicate.
Yes, I have, Rob, and that's why I have trust issues. Like we had an argument on our show last time.
No, yeah,
I have, you know,
I mean, but if you've been the person cheated on, then you
But you
wouldn't
see,
do that
that's
to
it.
someone
It
else.
stays with you. You
That's
see
what
how
I'm
it
saying.
stays with you? It stays with you.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
I was
You're always
dating a
thinking about it.
bartender,
Yeah.
so you know, I was gullible, thinking, man, she wouldn't. She's so happy with me. It's when, like I said, when you're gullible, when you don't believe it could happen, that's when it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but you can't not think it can't happen to you.
No, but it's up to either the male or female to not put themselves in the situations to where they get tempted to do it.
Well, that's
Right.
what Roberto was arguing last week, right?
But being best friends with someone, like, I get your point, but I mean,
Wait, are you trying to say you can't have platonic relationships with someone of the opposite sex?
yeah, Roberto said no,
Exactly.
no go on that one.
Mhm.
No, my reference I'm making now is that it's about cheating. It's not about your spouse
Yeah, yeah.
or girlfriend being friends with a male or a female. None of that. What I'm talking about now is cheating.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
just want to make that clear.
No,
Because
No,
that
I'm just like saying, like, if you like, because there is like schools of thought that believe that you can't be platonic with someone of the opposite sex, and I don't. There's parts of me that are like can see that side, and there's parts of me that are like, yeah, I don't know, because it depends on what the trust level is with your significant other, whether they're married, your wife or whatever. Because if they trust you or you trust them, right? And I get it, you have trust issues, and so do I, frankly. But like,
I mean,
if you trust them,
yeah,
to
we all
hang
do
out-
it to a
like,
certain degree.
I got a good example. So like, I stay after work and talk to a bunch of colleagues. Some of them happen to be women. Back home, whoever it is like texting me saying, like, or I come home to them and they're like, I don't like that you're hanging out with these people. Like, it's like, is the trust issue on you or is it on them? And like, who has to solve that trust issue? Because if you're talking to your colleagues, then you're fine. Like, there was an instance, right? I can give an example of me, right? I went out after work to have drinks with work colleagues, right? And we're all together. I didn't go off by myself with any women or any of that stuff, right? I didn't put myself in any positions where we get drunk and have, random kissing or whatever the hell it might be, whatever happens when you're drunk, right? I was just with them. But because I did that, I got a, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? And this is from the person who cheated. So it's like the trust issue comes from them because they're the ones doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem. That's where I see the issue is that when people don't like, I want to see your phone, I want to see this, usually it's because they are the actual ones perpetrating the cheating.
You're
But
right
sometimes
on
they
that.
have insecure issues because it's been done to them before,
Exactly.
and
Possibly.
they can't let go of that, and they carry it into every relationship, and that's why they're single.
That happens.
Yeah, that's true. That's so they're saying they need to get therapy for themselves
Yeah.
to work on that, right?
And I was
But I feel
somewhat like that with
in a
trust. I was
relationship-
something like that.
But I feel like in a relationship, you could be just like, here's my phone. Like, you can look at my phone.
Mhm.
I'll
If they're,
never
like,
turn my
concerned
phone
about it-
over. Never turn
Yeah.
my phone over.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but when I
Yeah.
was younger,
Doing your thing.
no, it's very sketchy. It's very sketchy, this topic, because sometimes, like Paul just said, they could be very insecure and questioning you all the time. Like when you're crossing the border and you feel like you have something and you know you don't.
Mm-hmm.
You know that feeling?
Mm-hmm.
Women
Yeah.
can make you feel like that too. Like by always constantly persecuting you, making you feel like you're cheating when you know
Yep.
you're not. So you
Yeah,
start
when
having
I'm not. Yeah,
behaviors
yeah,
like,
yeah.
what if my friend from work, this girl, texts me and she sees the name, she's gonna think I'm cheating.
She's
Let
gonna
me turn my phone
She's
over.
gonna go crazy. Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah.
you're not cheating. But these
Yeah.
actions will bring that attention to you, right?
Yep.
And I think because both of you guys are on point, right? Like Paul is like, well, usually the person that's accusing the person of cheating is the one that's guilty. But you're right too, because the person that could it might have happened to them so many times that they're like,
They're paro.
Yeah. Especially if someone comes around and they're like the perfect person, right? And sometimes it's like too good to be true. Oh, like this person does this for me. This person does this person. Like they got to be like doing something. There's no way the person can be this good, right? But I do believe in the trust issue, right?
No, see what that is? You see what that is? That's insecurity in yourself. You're saying you don't have enough worth to be with that person.
Exactly.
Right? That's what you're saying essentially with that. No, that comes from, so if you're secure in yourself, the only time that you can actually think, oh, this person's cheating, right, is when they're doing multiple of the same habits. And I agree with Roberto in a way. Like if you're like, oh shit, this person's going to freak out, and I've got to flip this down now because I don't want to get text from this person. Like in the last week, I've been accused of a lot of things that I'm not doing, right, or haven't done. Because it's time to put the flames up, right? Because we're going into the trenches. But it's like pick a battle because there's no proof for these things. Like so, it's like, and it's like that's where it comes from me. It's like, okay, well you did this in the past, you're accusing me of it now because you're insecure in yourself. Like that's where it comes from, right? Now, on the flip side of this, if you're right, Roberto, like I will empathize in that position, right? If you have had it done to you, like for me, for instance, if I was insecure about it with my significant other, like what would help me is if I was like, oh, can I see your phone? Like, and that might seem like an accusing thing to that person, but if they understand your perspective, they can just be like, here. Or they could say, like, this is about open communication, by the way. Or they could be like, hey, what's the matter? Do you want to look at the phone or whatever? Not that I've ever asked this, by the way, because I'm not, even though it's happened to me, it's happened so long ago, and there's a lot of water that I just don't really care anymore, right? And if I go into another relationship with somebody else, I know the signals to look for, but I'm also a different person, so I'm going to be giving them the needs that I didn't meet originally.
And that's what I was going to say too, because when you mature, you grow out of these things. Like now, it doesn't bother me. Like I can't believe it did bother me. Maybe I did have issues self-generated. Maybe it was events that took place in my life. But once you get to a better place, who gives a fuck what it was? It's over. You know what I mean? And now you just try and help others.
And to go back on one of you guys' point before we close it up, I was that one. If I'm
that comment is what I was trying to say.
Because I was that one. I was the one that was doing the cheating, but I would always be like, "Nah, you're the one doing it, right?" And then like, you're not having sex with me, so you're doing it with someone else too. And that's the excuse for me doing it, because I'm like, oh, well, if you're doing it, I'm gonna do it because I'm not gonna be the one that's getting cheated on.
You know what I call that, Andrew? I call that tennis. I call it tennis love. Back and forth, tennis love. Serve, I return. You serve, I return. You know.
My ex-girlfriend from last year, who I was with, was cheating on me, and one of the things that did happen was she stopped having sex. Right? Like we used to have sex all the time. Like any place, anywhere, whenever, it was like sex. That was like the one thing that that was like the only thing we had in common. So the relationship wasn't going to go far anyway. But once the sex stopped, I knew something was up. And sure enough,
that's usually the sign of when a man's having an affair too, because he's getting it somewhere else. Like,
And that's the thing, right? She wasn't cheating.
Or your sex drive is gone.
She wasn't.
If you're in your mid-40s, I don't think people are going to be like, you're having an affair. I think
you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
Again, insecurity. Like, I mean, is the insecurity on that person or on you? This is a problem too with the relationships. Like my closing point, if I give one, is this: someone else's insecurities are not your insecurities, and you don't need to take them on board. If someone's insecure in your relationship, sure, you should be concerned about that, and you should be able to talk that out. But if it's an irrational insecurity, that person needs to get therapy, and that's on them to fix themselves. You cannot fix them, and you will not fix them, so don't try to fix them. You need to encourage them to get into therapy so that they can work on themselves. If the relationship is important to you, to them and to you, you'll give them encouragement, and they will go into therapy and get that therapy so that they can better work on themselves, which means they can better work on you, because a happy self is actually going to lead to a happy relationship, because when you're happy in yourself and you love yourself, you can better love someone else. Either when you're miserable, you're not going to care about anybody else, because what's the one thing about depression? And I know this, I can say this because I've had the clinical depression. All you care about is yourself. You don't care about anybody else. You don't give a
100%.
fuck about the world. You just want to lay in bed all day and fucking be depressed.
In the dark, everything dark,
and not care about the world. All your interests, all your hobbies, everything you love becomes nothing and worthless to you. That is a problem that you need to fix. Like 100%. In order to be in a happy relationship, you cannot rely on other people to fix it for you, nor should someone rely on you to fix it for them.
Those places change you, Paul. You need listen. You need to go to those places again.
Sometimes you need to go down into the depths. Yes,
to fix that problem, because if you don't go there, that problem could be a long stint, man. This shit could be years and years, and then it's beyond help, man.
It goes with the best analogy of the airplane, right? When you're on high altitude and the oxygen mask comes down, what's what you have to do? You have to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you can save somebody else, right? That's how it goes.
Look how he ends the show. Look how he ends the show. My man. That was smooth, guys. That was smooth.
Great show. Guys, everybody who's still in the chat with us, please make sure you subscribe to everybody here. Paul, was great having you. Roberto, great as always, brother. Anzo, my brother from another mother. And Robert Storms, we're driving
the man.
And I'll say this because I said it with Roberto, and I'll say it to you, great job hosting the show today, brother. You did
yes, Mr. Geisgar. Mr. 100. You beat me, Mr. 100.
Yeah, I'm at 110 right now. So
don't gloat, man. Let me just ride with 100. Fuck, you had to ruin my night more, yo. Congrats, bro.
Said, everybody, have a great night.
Peace.
Did that flicker in the back? Did I see a flicker in the back? Like a malfunction? What happened there?
Intro, guys. Intro.
We're still live.